Good evening, everyone. So, I am about to do a reaction to a debate that I had with my ex co host. And the reason I'm doing this is, for one, it's a good opportunity to really explain my own ontology. Secondly, I didn't really appreciate how I was expected to have undying loyalty to my co host because, for once, I agreed with someone who disagreed with my co host and called out a contradiction that I also noticed. So, one thing I need to make clear first and foremost when it comes to debating or talking about philosophy, right? I don't owe anyone any kind of loyalty because I think for myself. End of story. If I don't agree with something regarding my own philosophical views, I don't agree with it. It doesn't matter if we're friends, it doesn't matter if we're co hosts, none of that matters within that context. It's about ontology, right? And so the person that agreed with my co host, disagree with my co host, I usually don't agree with that person on a lot of other things. But this particular time, that person had a point. And like I said, it doesn't matter if I like you or if I don't like you. None of that stuff matters within that context. So I was accused of throwing my co host under the bus because I publicly disagreed and sided with the person that also disagreed or called out a contradiction or whatever. So yeah, that's ridiculous. We're all philosophical debaters. That's what we do. We discuss philosophy. If there wasn't if there wasn't any disagreement, there would be no debates. And just because we're co-hosts doesn't mean we're always going to see everything the exact same way. With that being said, I only only voiced my opinion because I was asked to. I was being contacted and I was being told, "Oh, look at this guy, typical um contrarian, always disagreeing." And that person can be like that sometimes, but that person isn't always wrong either. And with that being said, I was pulled into this. I was dragged into this. So I was like, okay, I think that person got you there this time though. And that was enough to freaking cause a whole tower moment, and I'm like, what the hell happened here? Um, okay, so it went from there, and I would like to just go over this debate because I was being accused of misframing, being disingenuous, or my argument was supposedly disingenuous, um, that I was purposely not listening, that I wasn't understanding. And in the beginning, yeah, there was some confusion because I was trying to get to the bottom of what he was saying. What do you actually believe? It sounded like he was contradicting himself all over the place. And I wanted clarity. I was genuinely confused. Not I wasn't being disingenuous. Um so yeah, let's go to that debate. I'm gonna have to do this in sections because it's already 12 o'clock at night and I'm fucking tired. I ain't gonna lie. So I'm gonna do a part, and y'all might see where I cut it and restart it. I'm not editing anything out, but I have to do this in sections because this was a long debate. Um, and I can't do it all tonight. I've had a long day. So anyway, let me find this freaking debate. Hey, hey, hey. Um, It should be. Where the hell is it? In there. Should be in there.
Hey, what's up? We're gonna do a debate tonight. What you doing, Sophia? You ready?
Looking at your mug.
All right.
You can't hear me or something?
Like debate on now.
Hello.
What? Yo.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I said what's up.
Yeah, and I said I was looking at your mug.
Yeah, I think there's a lag because I was saying I'm letting Logan know that we are about to do this debate in case he wants to jump in and check it out. So, anyways, we're going to do this debate. Now, I didn't really prepare because we just talked about some of the differences on The View. And I want to wait for a few people to come in before we get started so they can witness the debate and maybe chime in, with some thoughts. And I want them to hear it from the beginning. Because this is one of the things about idealism physicalists just can't get their heads around. And I think that this is a confusion for you as well, apparently.
All right, first things first. I'm not a materialist or a physicalist, but I also don't deny physicality. And it's not that I can't wrap my head around it. I don't agree with it because for me, it creates a category error. And what I mean by that is I will explain that. The disagreement was actually the fact that me and the other person heard my co-host say on a previous show that consciousness could not arise out of matter or the brain or whatever because that's two whole different categories that just can't work. He was asking how could consciousness arise out of dead matter. That's a category error. And I would agree. I would actually agree. That's why I'm not a materialist and I don't believe in emergence. And the thing about that, though, is if you're an idealist and you believe everything is mind, then wouldn't that also apply the other way around? Is that not still a category error? So my whole question, that I'm leading up to is, how do you justify physical reality under a strict idealist view that says that physical reality is only an appearance within the mind at large, right? Within consciousness. When you say it's only an appearance, to me, interpreting that straightforwardly, it means it only appears that way to you. It's not real. That's just how you perceive it. And that's why it can only happen within the mind at large. So now there's a lot of confusion, though, because what do you actually mean? Do you mean it's happening within the mind of consciousness? Like within the mind at large? Like it's just a dream? And you only perceive it as real? Or do you mean it's happening within experience, right? And it's an experience, so therefore it's still real. I believe that's what he's leaning towards. But that's actually where I disagree, because I believe that matter is a real expression of consciousness, a real structure, real stability, a real stable structure. And so it's not that I don't understand, it's that I don't agree. And that's it. So let's listen some more.
So I want to make
It's not
sure.
It's not a confusion. I just straight up don't agree with it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You don't agree, but I'm going to show you why it's valid. Now, I'm not saying yours is invalid, but I'm saying your model, the way you're explaining how consciousness generates the real physical world in like an independent physical existence, has some problems. But let's wait.
It does.
I mean, it does to me. I mean, it may not for you, but God damn it, what I think is what's real, right?
Get out of here.
It's what I think, man. Hold on, why is he not?
So here's the thing. Should I start talking?
Yeah, just explain. Explain first of all to the audience. What is the elephant model? Just go through that one more time.
No, I ain't going through all that right now. No. No, what I'm going to bring up is, no, I don't want to do it like that.
Okay.
Leave me alone. Yeah, I didn't want to do that and go all over my model again because this was a debate between me and him. He already knows my ontology. I already know his. We're in there in the first place because I didn't agree with him. So I wasn't trying to set the stage for the audience or any of that. This is a debate between us. Besides, I'm gonna go into my ontology as I go along. Right? Yeah, so I didn't want to do it that way. I didn't want to sit there and talk about my model. I wasn't the one on the hot seat. I wanted to know what I wanted to know from him. How do you justify physical reality under strict idealism? That's it. And I don't know. It took forever to get there, man.
God damn it.
So, the problem is, okay, with materialism, we have the hard problem of consciousness, right?
Uh-huh.
What's the hard problem of consciousness? We don't know the process that supposedly happens that causes emergence, right? What is emergence? That it's the claim that consciousness is created by the brain, right?
Right.
So, I agree that I have no reason to believe that because we don't know the process for that. We don't see that happening. We can only assume that that's what's happening, right?
I suppose, okay.
So an idealist would say, oh, I can eliminate that problem because it's all mind, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
So everything happens within consciousness and everything within consciousness that we experience as physicality is just an appearance, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I agree, it eliminates the hard problem of consciousness, but that's just too vague for me because idealism also is very vague or it's non-existent when it comes to the process of how that's supposed to happen, right? It just says it's an appearance within consciousness. But what the hell does that even mean, an appearance within consciousness? That sounds like, okay, it's a mind at large, which at one point I thought that was true when I first got introduced to it. So just to make that clear, I started distancing myself from that a long time ago because I don't agree that it's just an appearance within consciousness, because that under that view, I find it hard to justify the physical reality and that it's actually real. You see what I'm saying?
So is consciousness real?
How do you justify that physical reality is real under that view?
Because consciousness is real.
What does that have to do with physicality?
because
Being
on
real.
my view, I'm only going to argue from my point of view. So
I'm asking you, from your point of view as an idealist, how do you justify that physicality is a real thing
so let
if
me
it's
do this.
only an appearance within the mind at large?
So give me 5 minutes. I'm going to explain things from the very beginning. So at least give me like 3 minutes, okay? And you're gonna need
Well,
to
why
take
can't you
notes.
just- Nah,
need to
just
take notes.
what? You gotta
I need
prepare
to
for that.
take
You're an
notes.
idealist. You should know why you believe it.
I already do, but I'm trying to set the stage, not just for you, but for everyone who's gonna watch this old shit. So let me do, and this also ties in the answer to your question. It's the best way to answer it. So, like, before we debate whether consciousness like generates the physical universe, that's what you're proposing, right? I want to clarify something though.
Okay, but
I want to clarify something.
I am actually explaining my position, but
Yeah,
that's
I understand, but you're not gonna understand anything I say unless I clarify some things.
no, I do understand what idealism is.
Oh no, I understand that, but do you understand the block universe? Do you understand?
See, that's one of my main problems with this. I'm constantly being told that I don't understand what idealism is, basically. And I do know what idealism is because I disagree with it. Goddamn. So I wanted him to just answer me. How do you justify physicality being real under the strict idealist view? Now, I know what he's doing. He's saying real is, he's using the word real different from mine, the way that I use the word real. When I say real, I'm saying objectively, I can touch this wall, you can touch this wall. We both know it's there. We're both experiencing this objectively. There's a real stable structure. It's a real stable arrangement of atoms, and all that stuff. It's real. It's there. And that's what I think matter is, right? And he keeps basically saying that because you're conscious and you're having an experience and you're able to experience it, it's happening within consciousness. I agree that you couldn't experience anything if you weren't conscious. So in that sense, yes, everything happens within consciousness. But that's one thing. But saying that it's all just happening within the mind of consciousness and it just appears as such, to me, that's two different things. And I'm trying to get clear on which one of those exact positions does he hold. That's the problem with idealism. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that leaves things vague. That's what I mean when I say that.
I want to talk about the block universe.
Because it has everything to do with why
I don't want to talk about the block universe. I can't talk about the block universe.
Sophia, I can't argue then. If you're going to tie my hands, then I can't use any of the things that...
So it is a perfectly reasonable complaint that I didn't want to talk about the block universe, because I know that's a theory in physics, I believe, and I am not familiar with it, barely at all. I don't know jack shit about... Excuse me, boys, y'all are in my video. Stop or shut your door. Hey, y'all hear me? Man, I already asked y'all that, man. The block universe theory is something I'm completely not familiar with. So if me and him are going to have a debate and he's to convince me of idealism, then obviously it makes no sense to use the block universe to do that because I don't know nothing about the block universe. The debate is between me and him. You can't convince me of idealism with a theory to support your theory. I mean, with a theory to support your ontology that I'm not even familiar with. That's why I said no. Don't even go there. Don't go into the block universe. You don't necessarily need the block universe to explain idealism. You can use the block universe to support your view, but I don't know shit about it. I don't know nothing about no block universe.
Okay, well, let me ask you
Like my
this.
position.
How the hell am I supposed to talk about the block universe when I don't understand that theory fully?
You don't
I've
need
only
to
heard
talk-
about that theory.
You don't need to talk about it. I just want to clarify something. It's real simple.
But how you gonna convince me of idealism by talking about the block universe? I don't
Really, Joey?
understand
Because
the block
that has
universe.
everything to do with your question.
There has to be another way to explain it.
No, there isn't. Because this is the thing. All I want to clarify is that there's something fundamental about causation. Much of the confusion in this debate comes from people assuming that these concepts are fundamental features of reality, like causation and time. When you say
Yeah, but
something
I'm not confused.
when you say something generates, you're
I'm
presupposing.
not confused. You're skipping steps though, because I'm not
No.
confused. What I'm saying
So
is
let me ask you a
simply-
question. Let me ask you a
Damn,
question.
you're not letting me get to my point. My question is, if the
So yeah, that's the first wrong thing. I do not think that physicality is fundamental, and my model doesn't require that. And my model doesn't say that, which shows that he doesn't understand my ontology. I don't presuppose that matter is fundamental. End of story. In my model, consciousness is still primary, and that's why I still agree with idealism on that point. Consciousness is primordial and primary. That's what I always say. So no, I do not believe that time is fundamental or that matter is fundamental. No, I do not believe that. I do not. I see all that stuff as expressions of consciousness. And they are real expressions of consciousness. That doesn't mean that the expressions are fundamental. They are exactly what it is, an expression of consciousness.
physical reality is just an appearance within the mind at large, and you make the claim that everything is just mind, how do you justify that the physical reality is actually real? Because you're also making an assumption. You're making an assumption that everything has to be either all mind or all material, right? And an idealist says it's all mind. Well, I'm saying materialists are making an assumption, and so are idealists. I'm saying it's mind and matter. It's consciousness and physical properties.
I know, and
I'm
that's
saying
the problem. That's the problem.
That's not a problem.
Will you let me explain why it is, or you just want to just not let me go through it? Because I can tell you exactly why it's a problem.
You
And
can
it's
go ahead,
part-
but that's not a problem.
All right, so causation and time, right?
I don't know what that
I'm
means,
saying-
causation in time.
I'm saying,
What does causation in time mean?
because causation logically presupposes time. A cause.
Okay, but I'm
Wait a minute.
what can-
Wait a second.
I understand what you're
Wait, let me-
saying.
Right. Well, let me just let me get it out, just so you understand where I'm coming from. A cause.
But I don't know what causation in time means.
Well, I'm going to tell you. A cause must occur before its effect. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily, because consciousness in my model is primordial.
Okay. So when you say primordial consciousness generates the physical world, did it generate it at a particular time?
So the thing is, the cause in my model is self-reflection, self-observation, consciousness observing itself. That's the cause in my model. It's the observer effect, but basically I'm saying that consciousness goes inward, reflects on itself, and once it focuses on a specific point, this is what we experience as time, as fractaled individual parts of consciousness. So the causation in my model is consciousness observing itself.
Time has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I'm
if
not
it didn't-
I'm not describing time. I'm saying that consciousness is primordial. It's neither created, it just is. It's
That's
isness.
what
It's the
and I
condition.
agree.
It's the condition of isness.
I agree.
So what are you asking me? What created consciousness?
No, I'm asking you, since consciousness is eternal, it's primordial, it's timeless, when did it generate the physical world?
What do you mean when?
Yeah, like when did it do it at some, I'm just asking, did it do it all at once, or when did
No,
this
it's a process. It does it through self-observation times squared. It's a fixation. It's a focal point. All physical reality is focal points of consciousness. Because
I understand that.
in my model, consciousness cannot express itself as anything other than what it already is. So
Right.
what I'm saying is, I don't look at it as consciousness is one category and physicality is another category. I'm saying that physicality are different states of consciousness. It's all the same stuff. The only difference between me and a materialist is that I'm looking at a different order. My order is from the opposite end backwards.
So is consciousness physical?
Yes, it has the potentiality for physicality.
So consciousness is just the same as physical.
I said consciousness has the potentiality of physicality within itself. That means the potential for physicality already exists within consciousness. Not what you're saying.
So if primordial consciousness does generate genuine physical objects, then what explains the translation from something mental to something genuinely physical? What does that?
So the best example I can give you in real life is meditation. Have you heard of the fireball meditation? We know for a fact, because science has already proven it, because it can be measured. If you stress, your hormones suddenly create more cortisol, right? You can go to the doctor and get your levels checked, and the stress correlates with your production of cortisol. So what does that tell you? The mind has the power to generate a physical state. So a conscious state can most certainly generate a physical state. We know this. We know this already.
So can the mind generate $1 million in my bank account?
No, it cannot. It doesn't work like that.
Now, see, that's disingenuous as hell as far as I'm concerned, because obviously I never said that. Now, that's what you call misframing somebody. I said that consciousness within itself possesses the potentiality for physicality. In other words, that's like saying the potential is there. I didn't say consciousness has a thought and suddenly everything appears or pops up, because obviously that's directly linked to evolution, and everything as we see it right now, it's not how the world started, right? It started from there being pretty much hardly nothing, and then little tadpoles, and then so on and so forth. Evolution or whatever. So, yeah, I didn't say that.
Never made that claim. I never
I
made
know
the
you
claim.
didn't. I'm
that
asking you a
just
question. I'm just
no.
asking the
You
question.
cannot just think of something and then it pops into reality. Obviously, it takes thousands of years of evolution. It is evolving. It is not just popping shit into existence.
Okay, so why is the physical, the mind, why is the mind work? You agree that, are you conscious? Am I conscious? You said physical is conscious. Okay, so this is where I'm confused. If physical is
No, I'm
conscious,
saying
Yep, I did not say the physical is conscious. I said consciousness within itself has potentiality for physicality. Consciousness is primary. It has within itself the potentiality for physicality. I mean, I don't know, like, it's not hard. I'm saying it over and over, and he just flipped it completely on its head and said, so you're saying the physical is conscious. I didn't say that.
why can't
I'm saying
physical things?
no. You keep saying stuff that I didn't say though. I said consciousness already possesses the potentiality for physicality. So I'm comparing it to meditation, fireball meditation, or stress that causes high stress levels, cortisol levels. Will you agree that your mind actually was the causation for those cortisol levels?
Yeah,
Or would you say
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. But the reason I agree with that is because I also believe that the physical is just a representation of consciousness. So let me ask you
what does
this.
that mean? So when you say it is a representation, you're saying it's symbolic of consciousness, and a symbol
Yes.
is just a symbol. So are you
Yes.
saying that physicality is not actually real?
No, symbols are real. So this
What do
is
you
why-
mean by real?
Well, I want to know, what do you mean by physical?
I mean physical, like I can touch it, I can smell it, I can feel it, I can
do that.
move it.
Are dreams real?
Yeah, but in my dream, I don't go take a shit. I don't like do none of that stuff in my dream. My dreams are completely different.
But I touch things, feel things.
My dreams aren't really tangible like that. Dreams are
I
different.
understand.
In other words, dreams are not as stable, all right? Everything in dreams is very unstable. It's very different from the stable physical reality that we experience in our waking life.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess what I'm getting at is, if you're saying the physical is real, but the mental is not real, then how does
I'm
something
not
not
saying the
real
men-
create?
I also never said that the mental is not real. Now, you see, this is why I get so aggravated, man. I don't know if he was confused or if he was purposely not listening like he accused me of, or if he was just trying to, what's the word? I forgot the word, but there's a word for that, man. Like, he completely says the opposite of what I said right after I say it.
Something real.
Let me ask you this. When did I say that the mental is not real?
Just a second ago.
Wow.
No, I did not.
Okay, so you're saying that symbols in the mind, symbols are not real. Did you say that or not?
No, I'm not saying that it's not real, but it's not physical.
But you said physical is real.
What we describe as physical, right, is the things that we all objectively can experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can touch the wall, I can touch the wall. You can open your microwave. I can open my microwave. We're talking about matter, right?
That's the label we put on that appearance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a label, but I mean, we use labels for the purpose of identification. But do we all experience those things? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. And that's the only way you know it is through experience.
Yeah, and I didn't say otherwise. That's why I'm not actually I'm not that far away from an idealist. It's just that when you call something an appearance within consciousness, that makes it sound like it's not actually real, like the physical reality isn't real. You're basically saying we just experience it as such through our perception, right?
So does consciousness like sit
No,
somewhere earlier
Can
and cause the
can you
physical
answer?
world to appear?
Can you?
Or would you say
You gotta answer.
The thing is, dreams are symbols and representations of your subconscious mind, right? But to go so far as to say that actual matter, stable structures, are just representations of the mind and happening only within the mind like a dream, that's where idealism just loses me, you know? And it's like, I can't get with that concept. I just do not agree with that. I'm not confused about it. I just don't agree with it. Like, the dream analogy makes sense to a certain extent, right? That it's all happening within consciousness, because without consciousness, we wouldn't even have an experience to begin with. We have to be conscious to have any kind of experience. I get that. But that's as far as it goes with the whole dream analogy, you know, for me.
Question first.
which question?
I asked you, do you think that we only experience the physical reality due to our perception?
Sure.
So then you're saying it's not really real. We just perceive it that way.
No, I'm saying the perception is real. That's my whole basis. I'm saying that is the basis of reality, is experience.
Is the basis of reality perception?
It's experience. Perception is inside.
And that's where my problem is with that. If I can only see a couch due to my own perception, why is that couch still there, even if I turn my back on it and walk away?
Of experience. When you perceive the hot, it becomes hotness in your or in your experience. You experience the heat or the cold or whatever.
So you define consciousness as simply just experience, and that's it.
That's one of the modes. That's the main function, I would say, of primordial consciousness. Is it's an experience. That's what I mean when I say consciousness.
Okay, so you don't say that it's all mental, though.
It's all mental. It's all mental. It all happens in your mind.
Okay, so if it's all mental, then it only happens in the mind?
Well, you know, on idealism, you have what's called the greater consciousness or the greater mind, and then you have the fractal minds, the limited.
Okay, so if it's all mind, that means no matter, no physicality. And that's exactly my problem. You can't say it's all mind and there's only mind, it's only mental, and at the same time say physical reality is true. I just don't see how you can do that. That's a category error. The same way that materialists say emergence, it begs the question, well, how the hell does something completely different like consciousness just pop out of matter? How does that work with dead matter? It's just matter. Well, I'm trying to understand, if it's just a dream, then how could something physical even really exist if it's just happening within the mind? It's like a thought that's never actualized. So that's where my issue comes in with that. So an idealist actually believes that it's all within the mind. There's only mind. It's all mental. So that automatically means there is no physical. We just experience it that way. We just think that's what we're experiencing or seeing or whatever. So that is what an idealist is saying. You know? And what an idealist defines as real is that we're having an experience. So I get that. You're having an experience of a thing, and therefore it's real. Even if it's an illusion, but you're experiencing it. So therefore it's real. And we're going to go into all of that because what my argument is, yeah, but is it true though? So we're going to go into that. Because anyone can have a delusion or an illusion that feels real because they're experiencing that. But is it true? Whatever it is they're experiencing.
Minds. So what
Right, and that's what I don't agree with.
Okay, well, the reason you don't agree with it is because I think you're assuming two different things. That's why.
No, I'm saying that if everything is all mental and my experience is within the mind of something else, like a greater mind, then I'm not even real. You're not real.
Well, idealism proposes something different. What we call the physical world is just a structured pattern of appearances within consciousness itself. So a useful analogy is like a dream. Like inside dreams, objects interact, events unfold, causes appear to produce effects, but the dreamer's mind is not sequentially causing each event within the dream timeline. Instead, the entire dream world arises within the mind, and causal relationships operate inside the narrative of the dream, right? So within that framework, physical objects are real, not as independent substances outside of consciousness, but as stable patterns within the shared field of experience. So this kind of leads
So what are stable patterns?
Stable patterns are the objects, the events, the time,
how do you suppose that the mind creates stable patterns like that?
They don't create it. It arises within mind. Just like in a dream. How does it
arise within? I'm asking you, how does it arise within mind? A stable physical pattern.
Well, that's just how reality works. That's the brute fact of the matter. You can't go back.
How is that a fact? You can't say that as a fact unless you have some kind of process. Can you describe
on
idealism? There is no actual process that would actually define how that would work. That is very vague to say.
No,
well, it's just a stable. It's just a stable pattern within consciousness. And I'm asking you, so the stable pattern, would you describe that as what we call physicality? And then I'm asking you, what would be so you don't think it's physicality?
No, because the field is shared. Reality becomes stable.
Okay, so he just admitted it's not physicality. He does not believe in physicality. He doesn't believe in matter. In that sense, it's not real to him because it's just within the mind at large. And that's what I was saying. But I was told that I'm misframing him when I said, so you don't believe in, well, he did say he doesn't believe in matter, which he's going to say that in the video. And then I said, so you don't believe that matter is real? And he says, I never said that. So at that point, to me, that's just semantics and wordplay, because at that point, the question is, what is real? And how are you using the word real? And how am I using the word real? And y'all going to see how that unfolds. With that being said, I'm going to have to cut it short for now and continue tomorrow because I am getting too tired. I've already been at this for an hour.